Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Datastream. This will be Part 20, Chapter 20. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, welcome to the UA Sports Festival. I'm your host, Present Mike. Hisashi paused for a moment to let the crowd cheer. This was his stage, and he knew how to play it. With me today are my two amazing co-hosts. Go on, introduce yourselves. No, Shouta stated simply, earning a glare from Hisashi. Izuku giggled softly over the mics and said, "Hello, everyone. I doubt most of you have ever heard of me, but I'm Datastream. I'm not in the announcer's booth, so for those of you who are trying to look in there, yes, Oculus, I'm talking to you. Better luck next time." That's right. And now, since he didn't want to introduce himself, my in-booth co-host is Eraserhead, also known as the homeroom teacher of Class 1A. I hate you, Shouta muttered. He's a grumpy party pooper, but he knows a few things about analysis, so he can stay, Zuzu chirped happily. Thank you for that, Data. Now on to the introductions of the students. Hey, guys, is it just me or does Datastream sound a lot like Izuku? Kirishima asked. He can't be, though, Sarah pointed out. I heard that Datastream has been active in the hero community for the past 4 or 5 years, right? Hey, Todoroki, wasn't Datastream the one who found all that dirt on your dad and got him locked up? Ashido asked. Shouta looked her dead in the eyes and raised an eyebrow. Your point? You know him, right? She hesitated. Shouto ignored her. And here are our students, Hisashi finished up the introductions for the 11 tracks. Let's wish them the best of luck. Yeah, I look forward to seeing how you all do, Zuzu cheered them on. Now, let's hand things off to our beautiful Midnight. Thank you, Mike. Now for the student pledge. Welcome to the stage the person who scored the highest on the entrance exam, Bakugo Katsuki. Hisashi could practically feel Zuzu's irritation from here, and the baby was in the teacher's observation box chatting with Majima. Hisashi watched as Bakugo sauntered to the stage and smirked into the microphone. I just want to say, I'm going to win. Instantly, the students and the majority of the audience started booing the boy. Whatever, you extras, you're all weak. Namuri pushed the boy back towards the students as Hisashi shook his head. Thank you for that riveting speech, Bakugo, Zuzu said with a bit of a cheeky grin in his voice. I expect to see great things from you, but everyone else, don't let his words discourage you from doing your best too. This is UA after all. I want to see you all go plus ultra. That moment, when the co-host gives a better student pledge than the actual student, Shouta muttered quietly, but still audible to the entire audience. And with that, Midnight, what's the first event? Hisashi asked, as the randomizer was rolled out onto the stage. I'm glad you asked, Mike. Nem hit the button to make the machine spin. Let's see, it looks like an obstacle race. Datastream, take it away. Right. So, the first event is the obstacle race. It's a 4-kilometer circuit around the stadium, with various obstacles. Anything goes, so long as you don't leave the track. If any of you Hellspawn don't give it your all, you're going to be running Izuku's terror track for a solid month, Shouta warned the 1A kids. Ooh, a racer. That's a terrifying threat, but for those in the audience who don't know, what is that? Hisashi lives for this kind of drama. Ah, I've heard of that, Zuzu chirped. Apparently, Izuku is a racer's assistant, and he likes building obstacle courses that are as hard or worse than this one. The Terror Track is a joint effort between the support course and Izuku, where obstacles are constantly flying towards the students. To date, only one student has managed to make it to the end, and they've been running it weekly. Izuku hasn't even raised the difficulty yet. It's still in the tutorial stage. There you have it, folks, Hisashi crooned as the audience sat in stunned silence at that. A racer's class is run by a pair of sadistic tyrants. The students all lined up at the gate and watched as the starting indicator lights counted down, and then the students were off. A racer, Data, what is the first thing we should be paying attention to in this race? The door, Shouta said simply. Care to elaborate? Hisashi prompted. No. I got it, Eraser, don't worry, Zuzu laughed again. The door is a choke point, and it leads to a narrow tunnel, so there are a lot of opportunities to sabotage your opponents. Ooh, just like that Todoroki Shouto just iced the entire tunnel, Hisashi called out. Ha, yeah, he did, but it seems that isn't enough to stop the majority of the hero course, Zuzu replied. Of course not. They all have been training for the past few weeks. They should have expected this, Shouta pointed out. Ooh, a second wave of ice, Zuko exclaimed. That didn't come from Todoroki. No, that came from Mona Manedo. Shouta didn't supply any other commentary. Are you going to explain anything, Eraser? Hisashi asked. No. Hisashi sighed. Okay, Data, take it away again. Nah, not this time. Sorry, Mike. I don't want to ruin the surprise for the audience. Fine. But what's this? The first real obstacle had just been reached. Robo Inferno! The robots from this year's hero exam have been resurrected for this race. And it looks like Todoroki has a plan, Zuko called out, as he watched Todoroki ice the 0-point robots off balance. Oops, they're tilting. Watch out, everyone. As they watched, Hisashi noticed that Hitoshi and Nato were parkouring their way through the Robo Inferno debris as if it were nothing, neither bothering to implement a quirk. Of course, Hisashi didn't point them out. He knew full well that both boys wanted to go into underground heroics, and the attention would only hurt them in the long run. Soon enough, the front runners got to the next obstacle. Oh, what do we have here, listeners? I like this one, Zuko called out. The fall. It's a test of balance for some, but for others it's an endurance to see how effective they can crawl across the ropes, and for others still, it's how they can use their quirks to get across. Ignoring Hitoshi simply sprinting across the ropes as if they were regular ground, Shouta pointed out Asui's jumping across the pillars, Todoroki using his ice to glide across ropes, and Bakugo's explosion sending him flying. But Izuku pointed out something else. Whoa, look at her! Hatsume Mei of the support course, using a support item that is of her own creation to easily make it past this obstacle. It's great to see more than just heroics courses among the leaders. It didn't take long at all for them to reach the final stage. Time for the landmines, Hisashi announced. They're not all that powerful, since this is a school event. Zuko started, but paused because he knew Hisashi wanted to add his bit of dramatics to the mix. Just enough to make you piss your pants. Once again, Todoroki was in the lead, but Bakugo with his explosion-based flight was quickly catching up, and Hitoshi was just casually running through the minefield, not pausing but also not hitting a single mine. Kaminari had paused briefly upon coming to the minefield, and Hisashi wasn't sure what he was waiting for, until they saw Monoma come up next to him, and the two fist-bumped, and then started running through the minefield as well, sending sparks out in front of them to trigger the mines before they reached them. And the leaders are about to cross the finish line. Who will it be, Todoroki or Bakugo? Shinzo had been careful about not passing those two, and it was extremely obvious to all three of the hosts. Todoroki beat Bakugo by only a few inches. Hitoshi was quick to take third place. Izuku knew the second event was going to be interesting, but he had decided that he had another thing to focus on. Well, he was still going to be commentating with Papa and Uncle, but now would be a good time to maybe get All Might to run out of the stadium trying to avoid a PR nightmare. One can only hope. Izuku had spent a lot of time over the past few weeks putting together embarrassing pictures of All Might, and had captioned them with increasingly stupid quotes. Well, not all were stupid and embarrassing. Now, while most everyone was focused on the sports festival, would be the perfect time to unleash them on the internet. Creating an anonymous account on a hero forum, Izuku went about posting the first picture, All Might picking his nose with the caption, "I am here, digging for gold." Another one where All Might was ripping apart some of the kid magazines Izuku had sent. "Children's magazines are no match for my mighty muscles." Yet another one was of Class 1A training through a battle trial, and All Might was on the phone instead of paying attention to the students, where one was clearly injured and getting tended to by another student. Students? What students? There were a total of 20 pictures Izuku had posted, all with similarly PR-damaging content. Now he just had to sit back and watch the comments come in. It was beautiful. And of course, Izuku was listening in carefully when All Might's PR manager called him and informed him it would be in his best interest if he didn't handle the closing ceremony. Izuku was nearly dancing in his seat when All Might agreed and left the stadium. "I assume you have a backup in mind?" "Nezu, I'm almost insulted. Did you really think I'd get rid of him without a backup in mind? I saw Gang Orc in the stands, and it looks like he's fully recovered from the raid. Want me to ask if he's willing to do the ceremony?" "Yes, that would be wonderful. If he agrees, I'll contact him for a meeting." Izuku searched out Orca's phone, and once he found it, he called. "Hello," he answered. "Orca, I'm so happy to see you here. I was admittedly a bit worried about you. Are you recovering well?" "Ah, Datastream. Yes, I'm doing well." He paused a moment as he heard Datastream analyze one of the cavalry team's strategy. "Are you in two places at once?" "Nope, I am just a multitasking god. But," Izuku exclaimed, "it seems All Might, who was supposed to be closing out today's ceremony, has had to bow out due to some PR issues. Would you be willing to take his place in handing out the medals?" "Certainly, I'd be honored to," he replied with a grin in his voice. "Great. Expect to hear from Nezu soon to discuss the ceremony, perhaps over lunch after the cavalry battles are over." He said yes. With that over, Izuku turned his attention fully to the end of the cavalry battle. Hitoshi had finally plopped himself down at the cafeteria table with Shouto, Nato, and Denki. They were waiting for Izuku to show up. The four of them had been a team in the cavalry battle, and Hitoshi was glad for it. He had been able to simply act as the horse without using his quirk the whole time. I don't know, man. You're really planning to do this whole thing without using your quirk once? Denki asked Hitoshi. Yeah, came the reply. Izu told me to win, but I still want to be underground. I don't want to show off my quirk in some televised circus. I am thoroughly enjoying how many people are trying to figure out my quirk, Nato laughed. I hope there's a betting pool. Oh, there is one, Izu chirped as he slid into the booth next to Shouto. Currently no one's even considered a copy quirk. Shouto raised an eyebrow as he nudged Izu in greeting. How can they not? He's used my ice, Denki's electricity, Bakugo's explosions. Nice one, by the way, Izu interrupted. I will forever remember the look on Bakugo's face as you turned his explosions against him. And Kirishima's hardening. There's no way that could be anything but a copy quirk. Who knows? Hitoshi had pulled his phone out when he felt it buzzing and saw that there were notifications about All Might having a PR storm. What happened? Hitoshi aimed at Izu. What indeed? Izu smirked, before stealing a bite of meat from Hitoshi's plate. What did you do? I don't know what you're talking about, but as an aside, All Might won't be handing out the medals at the closing ceremony anymore. Oh, good. So I can lose in the first match, like originally planned. Hitoshi sighed in relief. Izuku leveled a stare at him. I will disown you in a heartbeat, Shinzo Hitoshi, so help me. Hitoshi paled in slight terror. I meant, I will still do my very best to win the tournament for you. Izu's blinding grin was worth it. You're the best, Hito. And the rest of you, Izu directed to Denki, Shouto, and Nato. I expect all of you to be on the winner's pedestals. I will up the difficulty on the terror track to level 2 and force you to run through it 10 times a day if you're not. Izu, my man, terror of my life. While I'll do my best, I don't know how good I'll do against people like Bakugo or Kirishima, Denki pointed out. Oh, don't worry about them. You're not going to be facing them. But even if you were, Kirishima's the only one I'd worry about for you. Bakugo wouldn't be able to stand a chance against you after all the extra training I've put you through. He gave Denki a soft smile. You need to have more faith in yourself, Denks. I believe in you. Denki smiled a grateful smile at Izu, and then turned to his food. Nato was looking at Izu as if he had hung the moon. Any words of encouragement for me, oh great green overlord? Izuku giggled. You've gotten a lot better at your hand-to-hand combat. Trust in your skills. I feel like you're acting as our personal cheerleader, Nato joked. Well, only until you go up against either Hito or Shouto. Izu leaned against Shouto with a grin. All my cheers are reserved for them. Nato grinned at that. And you say you three aren't dating? Izu, which of us are going up against Nato in the brackets? Hitoshi asked. Shouto. Nato, what's your stand on being fully encased in an ice coffin? Hitoshi smirked. With a thoughtful hum, Shouto said. Doable. Would you like a design on your ice coffin? All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 20 of Datastream. Chapter 21 will be up next. I really like this chapter a lot. I think the author does a really nice job of making the sports festival really entertaining. There's a lot of times that the sports festival gets really repetitive and fixed, but I think this one kind of stands out. It's probably one of my favorite ones that I've read in a fan fiction, so I'm eager to hear your thoughts and reactions to this chapter as well. And as always, thank you so much for listening.